Want to be in charge of it in Afghanistan because of, well, how close he came to getting in trouble in Iraq for this.
Exactly. He thought it was he viewed you know, detention policies as a political swamp. So I don't think, you know, I think it's tough. You know, you know, what is General McChrystal's sort of morality? I mean, he gets the job done. He's willing to bend the rules to do that. I don't think, though, he would have tolerated going things too far. But you know, we know people were punished, and we know he wasn't punished. So
ultimately, though, isn't it the fact that the counterinsurgency strategy is not going well in Afghanistan probably also had an impact on the final decision of the president, that if things were going well, the possibility of him even overlooking some of these remarks might have been there? Oh, sure. I think that's absolutely correct. If he had not just called Marja a bleeding ulcer, you know, a couple of weeks earlier, he'd probably still have a job. And yeah, I mean, success gets you a lot of support in Washington, and part of the trick with counterinsurgency is that you need to communicate. It's a battle of perceptions, both in Afghanistan and America, and you need to have sort of a great communicator to tell the story about why you're having success, to sort of create this narrative of success, or this narrative of like how we will reach success. And I think that, when all is said and done, General McChrystal's great failure, in fact, was this inability to communicate his strategy and what they perceived as having success. If you want to communicate a strategy of success, I would avoid using words like bleeding and ulcer. And avoid interviews with Rolling Stone. I welcome all interviews with Rolling Stone magazine, and I'm sure people will talk in the future.
I know that you have to race out of here because you have an interview scheduled with General Petraues later this morning. But I did just want to talk for just one moment before we wrap up and go to Congressman Conyers, the chair of the House Judiciary Committee. I wanted to just ask you, you've been reporting in Iraq and Afghanistan for 5 years now. Mm-hmm. You're quite experienced in war reporting. You've been embedded, you've not been embedded. Your fiancée was killed in Iraq, and you've set up a fund for her.
Yeah, it's called the Andy Foundation. It's a fund that helps. There's domestic sort of scholarships we give out, but we've also, along with the National Democratic Institute, have an annual fellowship where we bring a young woman from a developing nation over to Washington, D.C. to you know, learn about human rights and democracy, and so then they can go back to their own home countries and try to institute these rule of law programs. We brought over one woman last year from Iraq. It was really incredible. She was even able to spend Christmas with the Pahamovich family. And this year we have another candidate who came over from, I believe, Burma. So you know, the war has been pretty tough on a lot of people, and but you got to just figure out a way to sort of take what happens and go forward and try to do the best you can.
Finally, quick question on counterinsurgency. You say it's not working, but they're bringing in Petraeus, who is keeping the same strategy going. Obama was very clear about this. We're changing the personnel, not the policy. Yet right now, the end of June, more than 100 foreign troops dead in Afghanistan, vying with the top deaths in Iraq. We don't know how many Afghans are dead.
No, I think we're fighting to, I mean, again, Petraeus' genius in Iraq was sort of engineering this sort of face-saving withdrawal, despite the fact that I think Baghdad actually is still more violent than Kabul. I mean, but yet we've considered, you know, people in the Beltway have convinced themselves we won in Iraq. Yeah, no, what are we fighting? We're going to have, you know, 2-3 more years of bloody fighting, and then we're going to draw down to maybe 50,000 troops, and we're going to end up doing sort of counterterrorism plus, which is what Vice President Biden had been advocating all along. It's just going to take us 3 years to get there.
Michael Hastings, I want to thank you for being with us. Rolling Stone reporter who wrote the piece, The Runaway General, that led to the firing of General McChrystal. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report, as we go to Washington.